The crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed under the light of 1,000 bioluminescent panels, casting prismatic shadows across the assembled delegates. Jiggy stood at the human delegation's podium, her augmented neural interface translating the cacophony of alien languages into coherent streams of data. Beside her, Alex reviewed the treaty documentation on his holoconsole, his jaw clenched so tightly that the muscles in his neck stood out like cables. The humans have contributed nothing to galactic civilization, Ambassador Zelther announced, his chitinous mandibles clicking with contempt. The Zaridian representative's exoskeleton shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that indicated his species' version of laughter. 300 years since first contact, and what have they offered? Primitive chemical rockets when we crossed star systems with quantum drives, crude nuclear weapons when we had perfected stellar engineering. A ripple of assent moved through the council chamber. The Voth delegation, jellyfish-like beings suspended in hovering tanks of ammonia, pulsed with colors that Jiggy's translator identified as agreement. The feathered Kryanak chirped and whistled their approval. Alex leaned toward Jiggy, his voice barely a whisper. Are we really going to sit here and take this? Protocol, Jiggy murmured back, though her dark eyes flashed with barely suppressed fury. We follow protocol until we don't. Ambassador Zelther continued his diatribe. The Treaty of Proxima Centauri granted humanity access to hyperlane networks, to medical technologies that tripled their pathetic lifespans, to agricultural methods that ended their famines. And in return, he paused for dramatic effect. They hoard resources, refuse to share their world's biodiversity, and contribute a mere 2% to the Council's defense budget while enjoying full military protection. 2% of GDP from a species of 8 billion is hardly insignificant, Jiggy interjected, her voice cutting through the chamber with surgical precision. Irrelevant, the Kalathi High Speaker, a gaseous being whose form shifted within a containment suit, modulated its voice into audible frequencies. Your species lacks the fundamental qualities required for true civilization. You are territorial, violent, and worst of all, sentimental. You wage wars over abstract concepts and attach emotional significance to irradiated rocks you call Earth. Alex felt something crack inside him. Not break, crack like ice over a deep ocean, revealing the darkness beneath. He'd spent 15 years in the diplomatic corps, 10 of them in deep space postings, learning to smile and nod while alien species treated humanity like primitive children begging at the adults' table. We are reconsidering humanity's membership status, Zelther declared. A vote will be held within the standard cycle. Until then, perhaps the humans should reflect on whether they truly deserve the privileges we have so generously bestowed upon them. The chamber erupted in alien equivalents of applause, clicks, whistles, chemical emissions, and electromagnetic bursts. Jiggy stood, her movements controlled and deliberate. Ambassador Zelther, may I address the council? If you must waste our time further, the Zaridian replied. I merely wish to confirm our understanding, Jiggy said, her tone professionally neutral. The council considers the treaties governing humanity's integration into galactic society to be, what was your phrase, generous privileges rather than mutually binding agreements. Obviously, your species contributed nothing to their formation. And the Council views humanity as fundamentally unsuited for civilization. The evidence speaks for itself. Jiggy smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Alex, please transmit code Sigma to Earth. Authorization, Giga 7 Alpha Omega. Alex's fingers moved across his console before Zelther could object. Transmitted and confirmed. Response received. They're asking if we're sure. Tell them we're very sure. Across 37 light-years, the message reached Earth in seconds via the quantum entanglement communicators humanity had reverse-engineered from Council technology. Within an hour, every human colony, outpost, research station, and vessel received the same simple directive: all treaties void, proceed with Protocol Sigma. The Galactic Council would not learn of this immediately. They would learn in stages, each revelation more disturbing than the last. 72 hours later. The Kalathi Mining Consortium on Kepler 442b reported that their human contract workers had vanished overnight. Not deserted their posts, vanished, along with every piece of human manufactured equipment, every prefabricated habitat, every vehicle. The mine's surveillance systems showed the humans packing methodically, then departing in ships that hadn't been registered with any council authority. The ships were sleek, fast, and incorporated technologies the council had never seen before. 1 week later, the Voth Medical Research Station orbiting Tau Ceti E went dark. When council peacekeepers arrived to investigate, they found the facility stripped. Every human-contributed biological sample was gone, thousands of carefully cataloged specimens representing Earth's biodiversity. The humans had taken them all. More disturbing were the notes left behind in the human laboratories, calculations for genetic therapies the Council's own scientists had deemed impossible, theoretical frameworks for consciousness transfer that made the Voth's best work look like cave paintings. They were holding back, the Voth research director reported, his tank's ammonia solution clouding with stress hormones. The entire time they were holding back. 2 weeks later, the hyperlane network began experiencing mysterious disruptions. Council engineers investigated and discovered something terrifying. The mathematical models underlying hyperlane stability had been subtly corrected. For 3 centuries, the network had operated at 73% efficiency because of compounded rounding errors in the original Zaridian calculations. The corrections bore human signatures. Humanity hadn't just been using the hyperlanes, they'd been quietly fixing them while everyone else boasted about their superiority. When the Council attempted to reverse the human modifications, the network destabilized catastrophically. They had no choice but to accept the improvements, even as the implications became clear. Humans understood spatial topology better than the species who had invented FTL travel. 1 month later, Ambassador Zelther stood before the Council, his bioluminescent patterns indicating extreme distress. We have a situation. The humans have withdrawn completely from all treaty obligations. They've recalled every citizen from Council space. They've ceased all trade. They've abandoned their seats on every committee, their posts in every joint operation. Good riddance, the Kranak representative chirped. Let them isolate themselves in there. They've also, Zelther interrupted, deployed a defensive perimeter around their entire stellar neighborhood. Sol, Alpha Centauri, Epsilon Eridani, and 47 other systems are now enclosed in some kind of spatial interdiction field. Our ships cannot enter, our communications cannot penetrate. Long-range scans show massive construction projects, hundreds of them. The chamber fell silent. What kind of construction? The Calathi High Speaker demanded. We don't know, the energy signatures are unprecedented. Whatever they're building, it's operating on principles we don't recognize. Alex, who had remained on the Council station despite the recall order, stepped forward. His diplomatic credentials had been revoked, but no one had yet worked up the nerve to forcibly remove him. You wanted to know what humanity contributed, he asked quietly. Let me tell you, we contributed restraint. He activated a holographic display. It showed Earth's actual technological development over the past 3 centuries, not the carefully curated version humanity had shared with the Council. Weapons that could crack planets, engines that could cross the galaxy in days, not months, artificial intelligence that had achieved true sentience and then been peacefully integrated into human society, biotechnology that could reshape living organisms at the molecular level, quantum computers that could simulate entire universes. You called us primitive, Alex continued. You mocked our chemical rockets. Do you know why we used them? Because our antimatter drive scared you, because our zero-point energy extraction made you nervous. Because every time we showed you something revolutionary, you treated it as a threat rather than a gift. Impossible, Zelther whispered. If you possess such technology, why hide it? Why endure our scorn? Because, Jiggy's voice echoed through the chamber via remote transmission, we believed in your galactic council. We believed that different species could cooperate despite differences. We believed in peace and mutual advancement, so we made ourselves small, unthreatening. We took your insults and your condescension because we thought the alternative, isolation or domination, was worse. And now, the Calathi High Speaker asked. Now you've shown us what you really think of cooperation. You turned treaties into privileges. You mistook our patience for weakness, so we're done. Alex deactivated the display. Humanity is withdrawing from galactic civilization. We're taking our primitive technology, our useless biodiversity, our sentimental attachment to our worlds, and we're building something better. Alone. You cannot survive without the Council, Zelther protested. Can't we? Alex smiled. Ambassador, humanity survived ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, world wars, and nuclear brinksmanship before we ever met you. We'll survive this too. The question is, can you survive without us? The implications hit the Council like a shockwave. 3 centuries of human contributions, the subtle improvements, the quiet innovations, the careful corrections to everyone else's work suddenly gone. The hyperlane network already teetering on instability. Agricultural techniques that had increased yields across a dozen species suddenly unavailable. medical procedures that had saved billions of Council citizens suddenly withdrawn. Humanity hadn't been taking from the Council. The Council had been parasitizing human ingenuity while congratulating itself on being generous. Alex turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and one more thing, those defense budgets you complained about, we were spending the other 98% on something else. You're about to find out what. He walked out of the chamber, leaving the Galactic Council in chaos. 3 months later. The reports reached the Council in fragments, human vessels appearing throughout the galaxy, not in Council space but everywhere else. In the dark sectors, the lawless zones, the pre-spaceflight civilizations carefully monitored but not contacted per Council policy. The humans were making contact, offering technology, protection, and partnership, not demanding tribute or obeisance but proposing genuine cooperation. Species that had been waiting decades for Council membership were joining humanity's new alliance within weeks. And the ships kept coming. Massive construction vessels, sleek warships, elegant colony transports, all bearing Earth's insignia, all powered by technologies that made Council engineering look obsolete. Jiggy stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, humanity's first publicly acknowledged dreadnought, and looked out at the stars. Beside her, Alex reviewed diplomatic overtures from 17 species requesting alliance. "Do you think they understand yet?" Alex asked. "That we were never the primitive ones," Jiggy smiled. "Some of them might, eventually. And if the Council declares war, then they'll learn why humans spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of warfare while they were congratulating themselves on being civilized." She turned from the viewport. "But I don't think they will. For all their arrogance, they're not stupid. They know they pushed us into this." Alex nodded. "New galaxy, new rules." "No," Jiggy corrected. "Old rules, humanity's rules. Respect, cooperation, and the understanding that strength used wisely is better than strength hoarded foolishly." The Indomitable jumped to FTL, leaving only a ripple in spacetime, a ripple that whispered of humanity's true potential, finally unleashed upon the stars. The Council had taunted Earth. Earth had responded by abandoning every treaty overnight. And the galaxy would never be the same.